maybe some of you guys haven't thought about your goals for 2025. If that's you, just log off right now. But for the ones that have thought about their goals for 2025, I'm going to quickly challenge you with something that worked very, very well for me this year. Backstory: 2023 and all the other years that I've been alive, I've been challenged with discipline. Now, I am somebody that is now the CEO of a 7-figure business. I've been awarded a Forbes 30 Under 30 award. I'm a Gates Millennium Scholar. So on paper, there's a lot of different things that would probably show, Casey, you have a really great level of discipline and consistency. And I'm going to tell you and be honest with you right now that I do not. There's a lot of things that come easy to me. And I say this with the most respect, and I'm grateful for it. But school really came easy to me. I didn't really have to study. I didn't really have to put in a lot of work for school. Athletics, I was an athlete. I was a pretty natural athlete. A lot of things just came easy to me in that regard. I'm building a business. I don't know if it necessarily came easy to me, but the way that my brain works, I can see problems and I'm very solution oriented. I have a lot of strong leadership capabilities now, just given different roles throughout my life. And so I won't say it came easy, but I kind of knew how to look at the game and play the game. I also don't let fear hold me back, or I try not to let fear hold me back a lot, which I think is something else that you really need in business, and you just got to be audacious. And I think I have a lot of that. So although I have a lot of these successes, I won't say that it came from being consistent and disciplined until this year. This year, 2024, I was the most consistent and disciplined than I've ever been. And while on paper, it doesn't necessarily look like a tremendously different year in terms of income, in terms of even audience size, in terms of my weight goals, different things like that. I don't look too different from 2023 to 2024 to the naked eye, but I look a lot different to myself. And one of the biggest things that I focused on this year was not necessarily focusing on the goal, right? So in past years, I've probably done like you've done, and I was saying, hey, I want to grow my income to this number, or I want to grow it by this percent, or hey, I want to lose X number of pounds, right? Most of us write down these goals with some sort of outcome. And what I did this year was I detached from the outcome as my goals, but mostly focused on the inputs that it would take to achieve the goals. So let me break this down. Last year, and I'm about to start doing this again for this year. Last year, I looked at, okay, who is the person that I want to be by December 31st, 2024? And so I did this exercise in 2023. So what type of person do I want to be? I want to have this, or I want to be doing this, or I want to be at this weight. I want to do these things, right? So I wrote down a list of probably my 5 big goals that would attach to first the person that I want it to be, right? That's what I always start with. Who's the person that I want to be? When I look at myself on December 31st, what would make me proud? So I wrote down my 5 goals. And so usually, again, that's where most people stop. They write down their goals and then they go after it, and then they lose motivation by January 27th, right? We all know the stat that only 3% of people actually achieve their New Year's goals. That was me in all my other years. So I'm not sitting on any high horse here. That was me in all my other years. But in this year, I did something different. After I wrote down my 5 goals, I then went to say, okay, what are the inputs that I need to do to achieve those goals? So let's break down one example. One of these goals said, I want to lose 10 pounds. So again, that's where I would have started and left it for all these other years. But this year, I took that goal and said, okay, what are all the things that I can control, that are in my control, that I need to do every day, every week, every month, whatever it is, to achieve this goal? So what are the inputs that I need to put in to achieve this outcome? Some examples of these inputs. I need to work out. And so then I break that down even more. Okay, what does that look like measurably? I need to lift weights 3 times a week. I need to do cardio 3 times a week. I need to go to boxing. I do boxing 2 times a week, right? Let's say those are my inputs. What else do I need to do to hit this goal? I need to be in a calorie deficit. Or maybe an input is I need to hire a trainer and work with that trainer 3 days out of the week, right? Maybe another input is I need to hit 10,000 steps every day. So what I did, again, was took my goal and then I break down all the inputs needed to actually hit that goal. And then once I broke down those inputs, so I have my goal, I break down all the things needed that I need to do to hit that goal. Once I have my inputs written down, every month when I reflect on the first of every month. Some people reflect every week, but every month when I reflected, I didn't reflect on the goal. So I didn't say, am I 2 pounds down? Am I 3 pounds down? I didn't reflect on that. What I reflected on and what I celebrated was my inputs. Did I get 10,000 steps every day? Yes, celebrate. Did I go to boxing 6 days out of this month? Yes, celebrate. Did I do strength training 3 days a week? Yes, celebrate. The number one thing that I focused on was my inputs and not the outcome. Why did this change? And this is my reflection. I don't have much science to back this up, although I'm sure some exists out there. When we think about the outcomes, there's so many different factors that lead to the outcome, right? And that influence the outcome that we don't even control. And so for me, even this year, what I realized, especially even with that weight goal, was I actually didn't want to lose weight in terms of pounds. I wanted to lose body fat. But I didn't realize that until like November. And why I realized that was because I was like, hey, the scale hasn't moved too much, but I actually am enjoying what I'm seeing. Like, it looks like I'm more fit. It looks like I'm more in shape. Like, what's going on here? What I didn't take into account was that like muscle weighs more than fat. And so the scale might not change. But if I was so attached to the outcome of like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to lose 10 pounds, but I'm not losing any weight, I probably would have just given up on that goal and not stayed consistent mostly all year with the weight loss goal. Again, most of us see that outcome. We see ourselves not making progress towards the outcome. We didn't land the big job. We didn't land the big role. We haven't gained 1 million followers. We didn't go viral. We're so attached to the outcome that when we feel that we're not making progress or we're not hitting that outcome, we stop. And what we should be focused on is the inputs and celebrating how many inputs we actually had towards our goal. Because if we think about it, if we have a goal and we have our inputs and we stay steadfast in those inputs, at some point we're going to reach our goal. And or at some point we're actually going to learn more about our goal and actually say, oh, that's not actually what I wanted. I wanted this other thing. And so the thing that I challenge you with as we go into 2025 is focusing so much more on your inputs than your outcomes. I heard this acronym the other day, NATO, not attached to the outcome. What I'm attached to is putting in work every day into the inputs on the things that I want to achieve in my life. Again, for me and for that goal, that looked like 10,000 steps. That looked like drinking water. That looks like, being in calorie deficit or tracking my calories or doing strength training 3 times a week. Those are the things that we celebrate and those are the things that we focus on. The more that we can just focus on our inputs over outcomes, the more we're going to win in this game. And with that, cut the cameras.